Can't stop, won't stop. Mikey the Press Pass podcast. What's up? I'm your host, Mike.
Huh? I didn't realize we were already starting. David. I'm David. Hi.
I gotta keep you off guard, man.
Hey, everybody.
You know, took a week off. A little excited, not really, but yeah.
It's just shadow boxing.
All week.
That's all I did all week.
No, you didn't.
I didn't do that at all, actually.
Talk about why we missed last week's podcast.
Why did we miss last week's podcast?
We're all tired from moving stuff.
Yeah. Well, you were like, I'm tired. I was like, okay. That's cool.
Yeah.
I moved, man.
Finally.
I moved,
Finalized.
motherfuckers. I know, I feel like I haven't really seen you since... I saw you for like 10 minutes on Monday.
Yeah.
But like, we ain't really... Since you were like, you know what, like, I helped you move. Like, I feel like I need a fucking break from you for a bit.
I did my community service.
No. I appreciated it.
Uh-huh. Got some cool stuff out of it.
Got some cigars and some chicken.
TV.
And a TV. Yeah, there you go. Okay.
So how you been liking the new digs?
It's all set up.
Everything's out and about.
Okay, so our hall closet with all of our toiletries and stuff in it still needs to be set up. And a little bit of our bedroom closet needs to be unpacked. And then we have one more piece of furniture coming that I need to set up. But other than that, like, I just got tired of looking at it one day, and my old lady was just kind of like stressed with work. And I was like, you know what? I'm just fucking cranking this out. I don't care. I just cranked out like the whole house in like fucking half a day. And I was just tired of looking at it. And so I cleaned it all up and everything. It's cool. We still don't have our TV set up, which actually is not that bad. I haven't watched television in over a week. Like, nothing. No movies, no TV shows, nothing in like a week, more than a week.
You got a fucking monk or what?
No, it's kind of nice. I finished my book, so that was cool.
What was that?
I started a new book, that Inside Story book, Martin Amis. But no, that I was right. That book that I was reading, The Buried Giant, is fucking like A+ material.
It was from that one guy, right? The
Kajura Ishiguro. Yeah. They don't write books better than that book. Like, there are books as good as that book.
It's like crossover dribble, dunk from the free throw line.
It's super fucking good, dude. Like, I've never read a book that's better than that book. I've read some books that I'm like, all right, they rival that book, but like instantly I finished it. Like, I was almost crying at the end of the book. Is how like just how much gravitas this book has. It's super fucking good. A+. I can't recommend it highly enough to anybody that likes literary fiction or anybody that likes fantasy fiction, because it's like a literary fiction writer does like fantasy genre fiction. Super fucking good. Meditation on like memory and loyalty and like love and just collective conflict, and it's a super heady book. It's only like 350 pages. Took me a long time to read it because I just
the page, you're soaking it in.
Yeah, well, I would read it in like furious bursts. I read like 50 pages in like 2 days. You know, like grind through like 50 pages in like a day and a half, and then I wouldn't read it for like months. And then like I'd be like, oh yeah, right, I read this book, and then like I grind through like another 100 pages in like 3 days. And then I just forget about it for like a month. But yeah, now that I finally got through it, it was super solid. I read The Remains of the Day from him like probably 10 or 15 years ago, and I was like, that's a pretty fucking good book. It's pretty fucking good. I'm gonna keep my eye on this guy. And then he wrote Never Let Me Go, and I read that like the year before last, and that was like better than The Remains of the Day, and I was like, that's pretty impressive, because that book was already really good. And so Never Let Me Go was really good. And then I read this book, and I think it's better than Never Let Me Go. It's like super fucking good. So I can't say enough good things about that writer. And
He's good.
He's
good.
There's a very distinct possibility that he's the best living writer in the world today. And I'm not really deep into fiction or deep into literature, but I can't imagine that there are any writers better than him.
Like up against like The greats like R.L. Stein, Shocker on Shock Street. Like, what do you compare to that masterpiece?
Like I said, I don't. Based on the 3 books that I've read by him, I don't know that there are writers better than him. There are writers that are on par with him, or like just of a different style. But it's, I think it has a lot to do with. He has, first of all, he's as far as what I can tell, he speaks Japanese and English fluently, and he grew up in England, but he was born in Japan, so he has like these 2 cultures in his brain. And
What if he's like a really bad Japanese writer? He's like, I don't know how to.
I don't know.
I don't know.
But like his mastery of the English language is, but it's weird because this really bugs me. This is something that grinds my gears, if you will, to harken back to previous segments. Is like he has such a mastery of the English language, but then he makes some very simplistic grammatical mistakes, like continuously or continually throughout his books that like make me
Contiguously.
Yes, contiguous, like it's like a snake game. And I'm like, why do you not know the difference between these 2 like
Hey man,
things?
I speak 2 languages. I got a lot of words in my head. You only speak 1 language, so I guess whatever.
Yeah. I was actually just talking with my old lady about this Russian gal that I knew in college who was like just
It's like I know like twice the words you know.
yeah, she would talk about people like correcting her grammar, and she was like, "I'm sorry, how many languages do you speak?" Because I speak German somewhat fluently, I speak Russian natively, and I speak English fluently, and you're correcting my grammar and you barely speak English. So maybe you should shut up. And like for me, that's like a big, like I was just talking with Diana about like,
Yeah, you're right.
I was just like, oh man, this girl, like this fucking chick that I was in like college with, and like I just wanted to be like, what's up girl, to her, but I just like couldn't. So I was like, okay. And like I just think about it every now and again, and like how sad it was that I couldn't, like, because she was like, that's what I was, because I was in Russian and she was in my logic class, and I like asked her a couple things about Russian. And she was like, "Oh yeah, I could tell you things about Russian, whatever. And how are you doing in logic class?" And I'm like, "Pretty good, actually. I'm getting like a A minus." And she's like, "Oh, because sometimes not grasping with it so well. Maybe you help me with logic. I help you with Russian."
No, I can't.
Maybe we get coffee.
I got diarrhea right now. Sorry.
Yeah, maybe we get coffee sometime. And you're like, it's like, no, sorry. Like, I know I just needed the answer to that one thing, but thanks. And it's just like, I think about that every now and again. It's like, God damn, man. Fuck. And yeah, anyway. But yeah, she used to say that. She used to talk about people like correcting her English. And she's like, I fucking speak like 2.5 languages and you barely speak English and you're correcting my shit. Like, leave me alone, fuckhead. Anyway. Yeah, so I slept super good after we moved. Like I slept for like 10.5 hours or something. So that was fun. But no, we're all settling in. It's all happening to me, man.
Got nice neighbors?
Not
so much.
I mean, the guys that we like ran into,
they're pretty helpful.
Yeah, they're pretty ratchet, but they're pretty helpful.
Yeah.
So it's like
we tried to move in his couch, right? It wouldn't fit through the doorway because the legs were sticking out, and he has a very narrow hallway that goes up to the 2nd floor. So we couldn't fit the couch through the doorway at first, so we had to take off the legs.
We didn't take off the legs. My apartment manager and his ratchet ass fucking helper,
his henchman.
His henchman.
It's like his henchman team.
Yeah, his fucking.
Get over here! You got was a 5/8 or what?
His soldier.
Yeah. It is like his little henchman team.
Yeah, like strawberry milk.
That's like I drink like a gallon a day. I was like, yeah, I bet you do.
I got the poopy.
I wouldn't doubt it.
Get the pee butt.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that was, from what I can tell, like I like my apartment manager guy. But yeah, I haven't really interacted with the neighbors. Although one of the neighbors today left a note on my car.
Hey, fuck off.
No, it was typed. It was a typed note.
Whoa.
Dear neighbor, he said, which was polite. Can you please try to like park a little like centered more in your parking spot so both of us can get out of our cars without any inconvenience? Thanks. And that was like, so you saw we have like these big like I'm always worried I'm gonna run into these big cement fucking anchors.
It was poorly designed.
It's very poorly designed, and like I just wanted to like write him a note like, hey man, sorry, like I'm new, I'm not used to this fucking like cement pillar bullshit. I don't know how to like park in a way that doesn't like murder my car. And the thing is the problem is he backs in and I go in head first.
Okay. Well,
so
yeah.
both of our driver's sides are on the
Yeah.
same side. And so he's getting irritated with that. But he was polite about it with the note. And so I was like, trying a little harder to like be a good neighbor and shit. Because it beats, you know, punching his face up for being an idiot. Fuck you, man.
Do you guys share a wall with him? You just fucking bang on the walls?
I don't know who he is. I don't know. There's numbers in the parking spots. I don't know who has which spot. We have 8 and 10. So I don't know. Well, anyway. What'd you do this week other than help me move on Saturday? Or last 2 weeks, I guess.
Yeah, not too much. It's a very uneventful week, but the beginning of the month was the 20th year anniversary of Lucy Ford by Atmosphere. One of my favorite. I would probably put it like top 3 albums for me.
That's a bold statement.
It's a bold statement, it's one of those things where I was like, oh shit, it's the 20th anniversary. Re-listen to it again. Yeah, it still holds up.
All right, what's the top 5? Give me your top 5 albums.
I gotta look through my list again because it's like some of the albums are some of my favorite albums are very niche because like no one's ever heard of them. Like Deep Puddle Dynamics would be probably in the top 5.
Well, who cares if they're fucking niche?
Yeah, well, I'm just because most of the people probably never heard of them, but you know, if you want to take a listen, they're
whatever.
Good.
Fuck that. I like Godspeed You Black Emperor.
Yeah.
I guarantee you nobody that listens to this, unless my uncle is listening to it, even fucking knows who that band is.
Oh, speaking of which, Lucy Ford.
Get my dick out. Yeah.
I got the vinyl.
Oh, nice. Wait, what?
Here. You can listen to it. You can have it or you can listen to it. It's actually
Wait,
because
do you have a record player at home?
I did have a record player at home.
Yeah, see, this is what I was actually just gonna say is that like, part of the reason that I like getting vinyl now.
Here's my digital mixtape. You can download it on SoundCloud.
No, what I like about it is that it really forces you to think about like, is this worth owning like a tangible copy
Yeah.
of? Is this a fucking great album,
Yeah.
or is it just got a couple of good tracks on it that I might want to listen to?
Yeah.
And like,
So that one is it's actually because there's 2 albums in there because it has Ford 1 and 2 and then Lucy the album. I don't know where the original sleeve for that one is. But yeah, it's pretty funny. So yeah, because originally the albums were 2 EPs and he combined them to make them 1 LP. So it's a kind of interesting thing where the Ford records are kind of almost like there's like a character in there where he's like a townie, but he's a rapper, and he's kind of a drunk that hangs around a new dwell that hangs around town, just trying to get booze and get high and look for, you know, some beef. Yeah. And the other part was just like really kind of poetic.
Some beef.
Yeah. Some like very poetic stuff, like, you know, talks about things that aren't really what you consider like rap themes, like about love, breakup, and all those things. And yeah, that Lucy Ford kind of just, that album kind of just opened up like what the genre of rap music is to me.
Yeah,
like
it's funny because
artistic.
it's like, as far as like Atmosphere goes, like on several occasions in the last, I don't know, 7 or 8 years, like pretty much since I moved to Ann Arbor, I will hear it and I'll be like, oh man, this is good. Who is this? And people are like, oh, this is Atmosphere. And I'll be like, oh, I like that. And it's happened like a half a dozen times.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh yeah, I like this, but never enough to like, I don't know, download it or like put it on, and like listen to it intently. But like every time it comes on, I'm like, oh, like totally irrespective of the previous times. I don't put together that it sounds similar. That's how I realize that's what happened with K-Flay. So that fucking K-Flay album that I bought, Everywhere Is Somewhere or whatever.
I was listening to it this week too.
Yeah, I just put on Metric Radio or She Wants Revenge Radio or whatever. And like 4 or 5 times I was like, man, this track is good. Who is this? And I'm like, oh, it's K-Flay. And I'm like, oh, it's on this same album. And I was like, man, there's like 4 or 5 fucking tracks on this album that like, and every time I was like, who is this? And I like went and looked. And I was like, all right, so that's like enough for me to like go and check out the fucking album. And sometimes it's disappointing. Like it happened to me with, do you know who Shiny Toy Guns are?
I've heard of them.
Okay, Shiny Toy Guns, like they've got like they have about a half an album's worth of great music. Like one album has like 10 tracks on it, and like 4 or 5 tracks on it are really solid, and the rest of the album is kind of like, or it happened to me with, do you know who Santa Gold is?
No.
So it's kind of similar. I was like, oh man, this is really good. And like 3 or 4 times in a row, I'm like, who is this? Who is this? Who is this? I'm like, oh, it's fucking Santa Gold. I'm like, I'm going to check it out. And I downloaded the whole album, and it was like, oh, I just like those tracks. And the rest of the stuff is kind of like, I could take it or leave it. So, but every now and again, it's like Atmosphere is one of those bands. It's like, man, I really like this. And, or who is another band like that? It's a hip hop band too, where it's like, I'm like, oh, I really like this. I can't remember, but anyway. So that this is in your top 5 albums. So like, if you had to four more albums, like if you just like Desert Island albums, what would they be?
So I'd probably put Cage, Hell's Winter. That one's up there. That one's a really good album. That was released like early 2000s. Another one that's like influential to me is probably like there's actually 2. It's kind of like Sound Bombing 2. That was a great, because it's a big mixtape. That and Lyricist Lounge. It's probably one of those.
Who are the artists?
Oh, because it's various things, various artists.
Oh, okay.
It's just like a big mixtape of things. I don't know. I always come back to listening to like Justin Timberlake's Future Love Sex Sounds.
That's so weird to me.
Such a good album. I don't know. I just like that one. Yeah.
It's so weird to me.
Yeah. That was a good album. I really liked it.
Yeah. It's like one of those things like, listeners might not know this, but I love Fiona Apple. I don't know why, but like just like pretty much everything I've ever heard by Fiona Apple, like Fiona Apple and Lana Del Rey, like they're in the same category as me. Like I love both of those artists. They're not artists you would probably ever think that, oh yeah, I bet David likes those. But yeah, for some reason I'm just like, man, it's fucking super good to me. I don't know that any of either of those artists' albums make my top like 5 albums or whatever, but it's certainly I'm certainly a sucker for both of them, and I feel like it's incongruent with the rest of my personality overall. And I feel like that Justin Timberlake is probably that for you.
Yeah.
Justin
I just like that album.
He's super good. I don't know. The good is good, you know what I'm saying? Like, I can't help it. It's J Timberlake or not.
Got JT on the mind, bruh. What else? Oh, watched Fist of Fury. I don't know, another kung fu flick.
You've already seen that, like.
I know. Before. I just had to watch it again. It's so good.
Yeah.
Fun fact: the leading woman, they never mention her name at all. You only see her name in the credits.
Yeah, I'd mentioned you would mention that to me before, and I was like, yeah, it never dawned on me. I never really thought about it, but yeah, you're right. They don't. Certain movies like that where you're like, oh yeah, that character doesn't have a name. That's weird.
Whatever. It's just a broad.
It's a fucking dame. I think it's weird when they name characters in the credits. They don't say their name throughout the film, but then you're aware that their name is X, Y, or Z.
Yeah.
That's really weird to me. Like, for instance,
it could have been one of those things where they mention the name, but it's on the cutting room floor, and like, who cares? We'll get it in the credit.
Yeah, that's a possibility. Like, there's this episode of House, although I think this is like one of those being esoteric for esoteric's sake sort of situations where, so there's a lot of parallels between House and Sherlock Holmes. Anybody who watches House likely knows this. And there's this episode in season 2 where at the beginning of season 2, House gets shot. And then there's this whole interlude where there's like a episode long arc with him and this guy that shoots him, who is played by that fucking actor whose name I never remember. He's got like this really weird name, but he was in Let Me In. He was in The Killing. He always plays like a detective and fucking like all kinds of stuff.
Okay.
And good actor. I really like him. And they never tell you who he is. But then in the credits of the episode, not even on the show, like the credits of the episode, if you look it up on IMDb, his name is Moriarty. which is pretty fucking funny. But that's the only way you would ever know that's what his name is. Yeah. So anyway, so
Watch that. Let's see. Finished the first season of Lupin. That was cool. You know,
Oh, yeah?
It's worth watching.
Lupin or Lupin?
I think Americans pronounce it Lupin, but when they pronounce it as Lupin, I don't know.
Chowder.
Chowder.
It's chowder. Say chowder, Frenchie. Chowder.
I'm halfway through LA Confidential.
Halfway through.
Halfway. I got not bothered. I just interrupted while watching it, so I was like, oh, watch it later. Didn't end up watching it today. So yeah, and started season 2 of The Crown.
I never even watched one episode of that show. Everybody tells me it's
Good.
super good.
Yeah,
Super good. Oh
Yeah.
my god, it's so good.
that's a good show.
Like, okay.
Oh my Philip. Oh my. Yeah, it's a good show.
No.
Yeah.
It's about British aristocracy and people that I know that aren't stuffy British types tell me it's good, so it's probably worth checking into. Is that my
Yes.
chair making noise?
Yes.
Trying to.
It's worth watching like at least 2 episodes and see if you like it.
My uncle, so similar to dovetails nicely with my whole like, I'm gonna start buying records, to kind of like enshrine this shit in stone, right? Like I'm tired of, I'm just done with like.
Yeah, during the fallout, you just need a needle and a piece of paper with a funnel and like.
Yeah, so like kind of similar to that. My uncle was like, so here's the thing, man. I'm gonna
Gotta buy gold doubloons.
Yeah,
Think about it.
He's like, I'm gonna make these arcs. I'm like, what do you mean arc? He's like, I know what's arc, like an arc, or like an archive of shit. I'm like, shit, and he's like, like movies and TV shows.
Oh.
And he's like, I'm gonna like
Not
get
like
it.
poop.
I'm gonna get it like analog, so like they can't fuck with it. They can't change it and fuck with it in any way, like because it's all digitally owned. Like, because even when you own shit digitally, you don't own it. It's not yours. Fucking Amazon owns it, or whomever owns it. It's not yours. Like it'll go away. It'll get changed. It'll get fucking edited in some way. And he's like, I'm just fucking done with that. Like I'm all about preserving like the shit that I love and keeping it the way that it is in its original format. He's like, so I'm going to just make these things and I'm going to send them off to people. And it's like, you're going to be the fucking beta test. Give me 100 movies and like 20 television shows that you want to have, that you're just like, you couldn't live without. That you're like, if you thought that at some point in the future, maybe you'd go back to watch it and you'd be like, because this happened to me with fucking Fast Times at Ridgemont High. Is like, I went back and I watched it and I'm like, wait a minute, hold on here. There was a whole scene where like Sean Penn and Eric Stoltz talk about like Mick Jagger's pick, and they were in the restroom and everything. I was like, well, what happened to that scene? That scene exists in this fucking movie. I didn't make it up. I know that it happened. And he's like, oh yeah, they just do that now. They just fucking cut shit out and like change things and edit things. And it reminds me of, you ever see Thank You for Smoking?
Yeah, I've seen it.
Right, where he's like, we're going back and we're just tastefully updating all of these things. Where like they're smoking is like candy canes and like party horns instead of cigarettes and shit. And that's happening. It's gonna start happening with increasing frequency. And so just get ahead of the curve, man. I was like, I'm just gonna make this shit. And I'm gonna send you one because I know like you care about this stuff. And I'm like, fuck yeah, I do. He's like, so just make me a list of like 100 movies. So it's like, that's not. You think it's a lot. Like 100 movies. It's a fucking ton of movies. Like every movie I like could be on there, but it's really not that many. Okay. It's not as many as you think it is. And 20 television shows, I hit that in like fucking like 5 minutes. Like I just went through the catalog of HBO shows I like, and it was like fucking 20 shows. I'm like, oh, I'm at 20 now. Like a couple of shows my old lady likes.
So I guess you have to go back and buy like the DVDs, right? Like the box set of DVDs.
Yeah, if you do that. But he's just like, look, this is just like it's all in one place, and you don't have to worry about it getting like fucked up or scratched. Like all of the Three Stooges, I don't have to worry about. I got that. My old lady got me that. I got the whole fucking all of it.
But the thing is, you have to keep that DVD player, like keep it pristine. Keep it in the box.
Yeah, and that's a problem. That's what he was talking about too. He's like, here's the thing, I'm trying to figure out like how do I get it like so it's a format. So like because DVD players are like fucking going away. and other things are going away. Like if you had some sort of album on Betamax or whatever, like you can't play that anymore.
Yeah.
He's like, so I'm trying to figure out like what the most like, you know, legacy fucking thing is, because that's what we were talking about with records, because I'm the same way with records. Is like I've constantly heard people talk about like the quality and the sound and like, you know, the warmth of the music, and to me that's like all an aside. Like it's like, no, this is about preservation of a thing that's like analog, a thing. It's like I have it, they can't change it. It's a thing that I own now, and it's like here on a shelf, like buying a book. You know, you have the first edition of a book, and you know that that's the book forever. It's like they can't do anything with it at that point. And
was that whole thing with the middle school trying to change like Huck Finn? Yeah. All the N words like Robot Jim.
Yeah, I think that's what first got me. Like,
not the Lucas thing.
No, see, because I don't think you realize that Huckleberry Finn is like probably my all-time favorite book. It's probably the most seminal book in like the development of my childhood. As somebody asked me this the other day, it's like, oh, you know, this is my all-time favorite book when I was a kid, because they were talking about Anne of Green Gables. My old high school flame, she was talking about Anne of Green Gables, and I was like, oh, it's like my old lady's favorite book. You guys have a lot in common, which isn't surprising because I used to be really attracted to her and really attracted to my girlfriend, so they obviously have some similarities. And I was like, that's not my girlfriend's favorite childhood book. And she's like, oh, what's your favorite childhood book? I'm like, my favorite childhood book is still one of my favorite books, period, which is Huckleberry Finn. Like, they're just, that I can't overstate, like, the impact that book had on me. And, like, then they started, like, talking about, like, oh, it's just, like, we're going to start changing it and, like, not allowing it. And for me, that was, like, a full stop. Like, nope, okay, this is, like, one of the greatest pieces of literature in history, like, period. And you're just going to start tinkering with it, and like, I got to get this shit away from you people. Like, I can't deal with it, because there's few things that irk me as much as like censorship of literature. And like, and film is it's a distant second, because I don't think it's quite the I mean, it's probably quickly becoming the
So how do you feel about, like, there's a case with Kanye West. He released an album. It was on Tidal, which was like a company that Jay-Z part owned. I'm not sure. I don't know if he owns it or he's a part of it. But Kanye was able to do remastering on the album and then like just release it, not tell anybody. It's like, people like, why does this sound different? It's like, oh, because he remastered it again.
But it was his work, right?
Yeah.
Then that's his prerogative. 9 Inch Nails did this a while ago. They released a regular version of their album, and then they released what's called a loud version. Actually, the loud version is the regular version, but it was right around the time that people started kind of getting hip to kind of the whole loudness war that's been happening with music over the last 25, 30 years. Which is, music has just been getting louder, and there's been less tonal variety. And 9 Inch Nails decided to release an album that was like, had a lot of tonal variety, and they released 2 versions of this one album, and people were like, oh, that's weird. And it's like, you know, sure, like, you can have this regular reg-ass fucking version of the album, or you can have this one that has, like, you know, tonal variety up and down the spectrum of sound. And it's kind of, I see it kind of as the equivalent of fast food chains just putting more and more sugar and salt and fat, like, into their food.
We put bacon in it now.
Yeah. And
want some guac?
Yeah. And at some point it will reach a critical mass where, I mean, when was the last time you ever have like a fucking lemonade from a fast food restaurant? Anytime in the last like 5 years?
I don't drink lemonade.
Yeah, it's a good thing, because it'll give you fucking diabetes. It's so fucking sweet.
I look at top 2 now. What the fuck?
It's just like ridiculous. Same thing with tea, like sweet tea. Like, oh, I like, you know, to me, sweet tea is like tea, but with like a little bit of sugar in it.
Now it just tastes like brisk.
No, it's basically what it is. It's like,
I
oh,
love Bristol.
Arizona tea. It's
Yeah.
like, oh, it's just like fucking simple syrup. You're just
Yeah.
fucking drinking simple syrup.
Just like shook a bag of like tea around it. It's like, yeah, that's enough.
It's like they were like, okay, here we go. And we're gonna pour some sugar in there, and then they're like, oh, the crystals are settling. All right. It's like 3 granules less than that is how much like it will dissolve in like a slurry of like sugar water. And yeah, that's fine. I don't mind that, but it's like it's not what I want when I want tea. Just like it's not what I want when I want lemonade. And that's like the thing that they're doing is like constantly just like amping up your palate for sweetness. And they do the same thing auditorily with music, which is like amp up your
Well, the problem is
audio
that
palette for loudness.
Yeah, the problem is with like people that listen to music a lot. Now they're listening through earbuds or cans. They're not listening through speakers anymore. So that's the issue. So they have to master it and mix it to headphones, not to speakers anymore.
Well, that's the thing too. Is it's like this always irks me when I'm like, maybe this makes me some sort of snobby purist or whatever, but it's like. I'm that same way about film. Like, oh, like, hey, did you see the new Scorsese film? Like, oh, yeah, I watched it on my phone. Like, you don't watch a film on your phone. Like, if you say you watched a movie on your phone, you don't know what it means to, like, experience a fucking film on your phone. Shut up. Like, that's not, like...
I watched it with my eyes.
Yeah, that's just, like, it's just, you're doing yourself a disservice by doing that. And I feel that way about some movies, like I said that about the new Blade Runner. Like, I can't imagine ever having watched that on, like, even just a television set in my house, even a big screen TV. Like
1917 was the same thing. I was like, I'm glad I watched it in the theaters.
I was bummed that I didn't get to. I saw it on my television at home, and I was like, man, this would have been so much better, like, fucking on large screen, especially because it's like
Dolby sound.
Yeah, especially because it's Sam Mendes, a great director, and it's Roger Deakins. It's like. Arguably, I don't even think arguably, unequivocally the best like cinematographer alive today. And so it's like, yeah, I mean, I get the gist of the film, but like, is that really like, it's like you get the gist of the film in the way that like Beethoven's Ninth playing on someone's ringtone. You get the gist of Beethoven.
I like that jam. That's a good jam.
Yeah, it's like, oh yeah,
that's a bop right there.
Yeah, so, it's my fucking brother, man. like yeah, whatever. But anyway,
so when are you getting that the arc?
I don't know. I just sent him some movies. I gotta send him the TV shows. I mean, I'm in no big hurry, but yeah, I sent him off 65, 70 movies, and then I added some with the old lady today, some that I had forgotten because, you know, she also has pretty good taste in movies, and yeah, I just had forgotten some things that I like wanted.
It's all reels of film. Like, here's his canisters. I don't know what you're gonna play it on, but good luck.
That would be awesome if I had a way to play it. Especially because
here's this wax cylinder. It'll never degrade.
Gelatin film actually lasts longer than digital film as long as you don't expose it to heat. Like, it will last undegraded for a very long time. You saw that with digital copies of The Godfather. They started playing digital copies of The Godfather on the TV. TBS and TNT like got the rights to them, and you watch them on TV, and it's just so fucking muddy and dark because it's a dark film, like visually a dark film. And it just looked like shit. And it wasn't until they went back and digitally remastered it where you're like, oh, there's things. Same thing with Blade Runner. You watch Blade Runner on television, and it just
the copy I got was not good.
Yeah. That's one movie that I'm really glad, because that movie came out the year we were born, and in I want to say 2001, the final cut, they released it in theaters, and my uncle and I went to see it. And we drove all the way from Kalamazoo to Grand Rapids, which is like a 50-minute drive, to see Blade Runner on the big screen. Totally fucking worth it.
Okay.
I was like, man, like, it's like a movie that really is just like a lot of films are meant to be experienced on the big screen. I suspect Dune is going to be that way too, and it's a tragedy that we probably won't ever get to see it on the big screen. They might re-release it down the road or whatever.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure when like Oscar season shows up again, they might, if they allow theaters to be open during that time, I'm pretty sure they're gonna do a re-release.
Yeah. Fury Road is that way.
Yeah, definitely.
Fury Road was just meant to see on the big screen. I saw it twice in the theaters. It was so fucking good.
Yeah.
I was like, man, this is a good movie. I gotta go see this shit again.
Yeah, it was one of those movies when I came in, I was not expecting much from it. I was like, and in the beginning was like, this is so like of the 80s. I'm like, I don't know if I'm gonna like this. And then Smash goes like, oh man, this is amazing.
Yeah. Yeah, I didn't know what to expect. I was kind of keeping my expectations low. I did that with the Blade Runner movie too.
Yeah.
It was like, kind of keep my expectations low.
Because I was never a fan of the Mad Max series to begin with. So I was like, whatever, I'll watch it.
Yeah, see, but the difference is like the original Mad Max movies are more like B movies, something that Gilbert Gottfried would introduce in USA Up All Night. Whereas like the new Fury Road is like art, like high art, something you would study like in a film class beside like, Cinema Paradiso or some shit.
It's cinema.
Yeah, it is, and it's like no less badass. And those movies that strike that chord between like awesome badassery, but like super refined art, like that's my wheelhouse. Those are movies that are for me, like distinctly for me. Like this is for me. Like I really like this film. No Country for Old Men is like pretty much the top of that list there. It's like that movie is so fucking dope on so many levels. And I don't understand why it doesn't get more fucking accolades. I mean, the people I know that have seen it, like, oh yeah, that's a good movie, but it's like, yeah, no, it's not a good movie. That movie's probably the best movie in like the last 30 years of film, or certainly like a contender for the best movie in the last 30 years of film. Like everything about it is like so succinct and on point. And like, you just hear about like, you're like, oh yeah, it was good. And the way you would say like, like the new Star Wars movie was good or something. Yeah, I liked it. I really enjoyed it.
You think it hurts like his heart, like when people's like, yeah, it's pretty good. He's like, oh, just good.
I don't know. I mean, they've made enough good fucking movies that they know how good they are. Those guys, like, they don't need to be told. They're just like, we're great.
I'll just make another Penguin movie or some shit like that. Something to pay the bills.
Oh, you're talking about George Miller. I thought you were talking about the Coen Brothers.
Oh.
Yeah. I don't know. Yeah, Penguin movie. Visionary director, George Miller. Like, I'm sorry, what did you do that was visionary?
Babe. Pig in the City.
Pig in the City.
That guy has some chops, dude. If he can make those movies and then just like, let's make a Mad Max movie.
Yeah, the thing is, though, is just like Fury Road was like, that's the movie that I would point to say that, like, as a visionary director.
Yeah.
But it's like, he did that, but he's calling him, said, like, no, you guys haven't seen this yet, but, like, trust me. It's like,
No, I'm not done yet.
Yeah. It's like, just check it out. Visionary director, Guillermo del Toro. It's like... And the funny thing is the movie that he branded himself visionary director was the movie that made me certain that he's not anymore. Like, I'm done with Guillermo del Toro forever because of The Shape of Water. Like, just into perpetuity. I don't care what he made. He make a movie that were like Conan.
I'm gonna make a Godzilla.
Yeah, like Godzilla fights Conan the Barbarian. Like
with the Blade Runner in
with
there.
With the fucking some Blade Runner in there. I would just be like, fuck you. Fuck you, Guillermo del Toro. You are a cunt. So, like, I won't ever watch anything that guy has a hand in again. And I fucking, The Devil's Backbone and Pan's Labyrinth, I fucking love both of those movies so much. And even, I would say, Kronos is a really good movie, too. It's like a solid B+. But yeah, nope, not after that. And Pacific Rim and Hellboy 2 was pretty solid. I was like, all those movies were pretty good.
I was kind of bummed out they didn't make another... Well, continued on that, make a trilogy for those Hellboy movies.
Yeah, especially because I love Ron Perlman and Hellboy. Like, and it seemed pretty loyal to the Hellboy. And, like, especially during around that time, not so much anymore, but around that time, like, Selma Blair was, like, my jam. And I really liked Selma Blair. I don't know why. She's got, like, this je ne sais quoi that really just, like, I'm into. Like, when she was... like in her mid-20s, late 20s. It's like, oh, Selma Blair? Fuck yeah. It's like fucking Ron Perlman, the full get-up with the whole, like, true to the Mike Mignola story. It was fucking dope. Yeah. I was into it.
Yeah.
And then he was like, oh, I was going to not do that. Like Pacific Rim.
That was pretty cool.
Yeah, Pacific Rim was dope.
Yeah.
But then he's like, I always want to get back to my art house roots and do this horribly woke, fucking just the most woke thing you've ever fucking seen.
It'd be the wokest.
So fucking bad. It was painfully bad.
Uh-huh.
And it was not painfully bad in the way that it was like poorly executed. It was painfully bad in the way that you know that he has the capability to be really good. And chose to not do that. To just do something really, really fucking trite. You know, it's like, I don't even know how to describe it. It would be like listening to Mozart play Camptown Races or something. Yeah, I'm good. And you're like, you know, you're
good.
You're so much better than that. Like, I don't know. Play the market, yo, whatever, etc., so on and so forth. Fuck you, Guillermo del Toro. Hashtag you're a cunt.
Whoa, hey, he didn't do anything to you.
Yeah, he did. He wasted 2 hours of my fucking life and took $14 of my movie to watch, to be punished. He took $14 of my movie to be insulted and punished and made to feel bad for what kind of person I am.
Yeah,
fuck him.
Yeah, you should feel bad.
Cunt. Anyway, moving on.
Let's move on to news. All right.
All right, what do you got?
First, damn, there's no headline for this.
This is like a just headlineless article.
Yeah, no, okay. So, NASA put up a new rover on Mars.
They did. I
Yeah.
heard that. I was actually
Perseverance. Pretty cool. Sent it through was it a rocket, a sky crane? That was pretty cool to see, like the tech. You know, you couldn't see it, but they demoed it on like CGI stuff, and they're sending that thing out to a crater that they believe to have water at one point, and hopefully find fossilized microbes. Any signs of life.
But it's not as cool as like the perfectly preserved dinosaur anus.
That was pretty cool too. And plus that thing has a drone on it too, a flying drone, which is pretty cool.
Yeah, it's a big deal. Like Mars.
Yeah.
And part of me was like, wait, didn't this already happen?
Yeah,
like,
it did. Happened like 4 other times.
Like, oh, this is like a different thing that happened.
Yeah.
You're like, oh, okay, cool. It's like a new one.
Yeah.
You're like, oh, okay, cool. Yeah, right on Mars.
You think during the Apollo missions, people were like, another mission to the moon?
No, they were
Did
like,
that just happen already?
nope. They were like, fuck you, Russia. You suck.
I'll run up the board, baby. Beat them by 20.
Yeah, like the dream team in the fucking 92 Olympics. Like, fuck, I'm going to beat you like 88 points.
Yeah, just chill, guys. They said, nah, this is game 7.
Yep. Yeah.
So they did.
Yeah, no, that's it's exciting stuff. Hashtag science, hashtag astronomy, hashtag
Space is dope.
space is dope. I'm talking about space. I'm talking about space, the United States of space.
Oh, another one. A side note: Dave Chappelle got the rights back to Dave Chappelle's show. He's getting paid for it.
Oh, nice.
So I'll be watching more of it now.
It's like I was just such off of it for like a month, and then I was like, oh, hey, you give some money, Chappelle.
Yeah. I was like, got the green light to watch it. I'm like, all right, Dave. Got
Yeah.
paid. That's cool. I like that. You should get paid for that.
Yeah. He should get paid for fucking everything. There's no amount of money that like you just couldn't give Dave Chappelle. That would be grossly inappropriate. But like Dave Chappelle's new special yielded him $100 million. That's what Floyd Mayweather got for fighting Conor McGregor. $100 million for it was 12 minutes of stand-up, and I'm just be like, yeah, worth it.
Yeah.
Look good.
Hey, man, I'm so dope, man.
His
Thanks.
12 minutes of stand-up is likely more substance than like 100 years of any other comment just talking into a mic randomly would be. Like, it's just, yep, just give him all the money. He's worth it. He's just like, I don't begrudge him that at all, especially because you can follow the trajectory of his career just like Louis C.K. and Bill Burr and like anybody who's like unequivocally good at their craft. Is you watch Dave Chappelle like trending, like toiling in like relative obscurity for like 20 years, like doing nothing, and then finally like just comes out just fucking like just punching with just like heavy shit. I'm like, all right, give that guy enough money to like just make up for the fact that just the world shat on him for like a fucking 25 years or whatever.
Yeah. Thought he was crazy. Moved to Africa for a little bit.
Africa.
What do you have?
So, did you hear that I was reading this article in the Wall Street Journal. This is my serious news today. That there's this article like kind of about the discovery that won the Nobel Prize in 2020 for scientific discovery, which is gene editing is now like becoming a thing.
CRISPR.
Yeah, CRISPR. So I was reading this article about that. It was talking about the implications of gene editing and kind of like what are the things that could happen and like pro and con. And the writer was pretty even-handed about it. I really like that. It's part of the reason the Wall Street Journal is unequivocally the best newspaper in the world. Like, it's not even close. It's a country mile in that direction. And the writer's pretty good about talking about how there are some things that are unequivocally boons, right? Like you could eliminate sickle cell and AIDS and all these things, but what are the responsibilities of us as a society and bioethicists to kind of discuss what can and should be done to edit genes? Like if you can edit genes to select for not having certain
birth defects
and stuff like that, or diseases, like why can't you have other things that are more a la carte and things that you would want to select for gender, race, hair color, eye color, obesity, athleticism, all these things. Like why aren't those things okay? And kind of goes back and forth about
and you think of like the bigger implications of that. Will that do something to evolution farther down the line? If you take out these traits and these mutations never happen, do we just stay stagnant? We just become more enhanced, but never going any farther than we're supposed to?
Right. It's like biodiversity. It has a place. And so genetic diversity is important in a population. But then again, you also have to think about it in terms of, if you want to think about it in the, quote, natural sense of the word, nature has selected us to be smart enough to edit these things. And that's like, you know, when it's pretty easy to think like, oh, if you could have your kids not have sickle cell anemia, well, of course.
But the thing like that was an adaptation to malaria.
Yeah.
So
like, yeah, if you have a recessive gene for that, you're resistant to malaria. And that's a good thing. But no, so it was pretty interesting take. Doesn't really grapple with a lot of questions, in particular, like the fact that in other countries they don't really have bioethical panels and they don't really discuss these things. They just do them.
Oh, like China.
Russia and China. Yeah, they just whatever. We'll just do that shit because we don't.
Super athlete. Win medals.
Sure. But I was talking with Diana about this, and it was kind of hashing it out where it's like, sure, you could say that, or, you know, it's kind of like becomes a new Cold War and an arms race. It's like if they're going to do it, then, you know, kind of we have to do it so that in like 20 years' time, they don't have all the smart people. But it kind of goes back to that point about being really like the blueprint for being innovative. And so, like, the likelihood, I made the point that was like, you know, likelihood that if you're like a communist leader and you think that you can just give high IQ to like a good chunk of your population and that's going to result in like better results, it's like that's not really the case, because there's like a recipe for like being successful. It's like not only do you have to be, you know, being like having like 180 IQ is no guarantee. Like you basically just want a decent enough IQ to be smart, and then you have to be sociable well enough to work together with people in a lab, and you also have to be like open enough to be open to new ideas and think outside the box. But then that leads you to be kind of a disagreeable person. And well, if you're a communist leader, you likely didn't get there because you're so smart or whatever. You're probably kind of stupid. So what's the likelihood that you can really engineer a person like that with those amalgam of traits? And even if you could, would you want to? Because, you know, the kind of person that's going to be innovative and successful and drive your economy is also going to be the kind of person that thinks outside the box, and they're not likely to toe the line of like, you know, you have a whole population of like, say 20% of your population is like super smart, and then there are also these other things that would, you know, they're Steve Jobs types, and they, you know, think outside the box or whatever, but then that means they're going to be disagreeable. They're going to be like, hey, this is not like a good system of government. And if you have a critical mass of those people, then you risk
have an uprising.
Right, you risk an uprising. So do they really want that? One of the first axioms of like being a totalitarian regime is that you just kind of keep your populace stupid. You know, you just keep them really dumb. It was Diana's always talking about this, like one of the first orders of business of any kind, like, you know, in the Eastern Bloc, was to just like get rid of all the people that are smart, to get rid of all the people that have PhDs and all the people that had anything beyond like a high school diploma.
Shoot them.
Yeah, it's like they're evil, right? And you just get rid of them. And so you can't really select for just giving someone a high IQ does not do fuck all if you don't have like the other traits that go along with it. And so I don't know if there's enough of a natural like elasticity there that would prevent that, and the U.S. wouldn't have to do the same thing in like a Cold War situation. But it was an interesting article, like good food for thought, I guess, like kind of where genetic traits are trending and whether it's a good thing to be able to select for these things. And the article brings up an interesting point, which is that it's talking to this kid that has like sickle cell. And, you know, they're asking him like, well, would you have like, if you had the option to like not have been born with this, would you have chosen that? And the kid is actually like, well, no, I don't know that I would be the same person without having had sickle cell. Like having had that and having to deal with it has made me like a more empathetic person and more patient, and like, you know, going through turmoil like changes you as a person. And it brings up the point about artistry, right? And the great artists of the 20th century, for instance, Hemingway or Miles Davis, right, who had sickle cell.
Yeah. What if you took out anything that will cause depression?
Yeah.
Would great art even happen?
Sure. And maybe it wouldn't. And would that be worth sacrificing that cost? And, you know, maybe you would find other things to write about or to express about. I mean, the whole, that in itself, the whole like neutering of like any suffering is fertile ground for art in itself, right? Like I always think about that Asimov story, right? Where it's like this robot who like all he does is screw in bolts on a fucking bridge, and that's all he's programmed to do. That's all he knows how to do. And then like some tick in his system or something makes him like not be able to do that, and so he just like the bridge just falls apart and all these people die because he just doesn't have the capacity to do anything other than this one thing is all he's been programmed to do. And so that's fertile ground too. And so I don't know, I just thought it was really
looks like he needs some bending.
No,
I can just bend it with my hands.
Oh, no, it's actually out. But yeah, so I found that kind of interesting, like the prospective trajectory of like where we're going with like editing, because, you know, to be fair, like you have two alternatives. You have one, which is that you're prepared to say that like it's only okay to like edit genes in a life-threatening situation, sickle cell, cancer, AIDS, something like that. But then it's like, who makes those decisions? And the ultimate answer is the government. And like, we don't really have a great history of like allowing the government to have authority over like these sort of things, because it tends to put a stranglehold on like, you know, the free market of ideas and like the thing for whatever. Like, where would the internet be without porn, right? Like I mean, as sad as it is,
a bunch of research papers.
Yeah, it's just like, I mean, really, because the innovation of like the capacity for the internet really tracks very well.
Porn makes YouTube better.
It makes everything better because of people's
I need more high speed.
Yeah, desire for like just, you know, high resolution facials or whatever, which, hey, I'm into, but like that's really the innovator. And who's to say that it wouldn't be the same for a similar like cosmetic thing, but that comes at the cost of biodiversity, and that's not, generally speaking, a homogenized population is more susceptible to a variety of things. And so I found it a pretty even-handed approach and was a pretty interesting read.
Cool. Put that link in the bottom, guys. Town council in Spain delivers lost dog poop to owners' homes.
Yeah, there we go. Now,
Spanish town near Madrid, Spain, has a problem with dog feces in public parks and sidewalks. Local government decided to start a controversial program to fight the issue. Owners who fail to pick up and deposit their dog's poop receive surprising shipments. Poop delivered to your home address.
nice. My cousin lives in Madrid.
A total of 147 poop was delivered to dogs owners. The campaign started in 2013 and was developed by the Council of Brunette, and an advertising agency. It was partially a publicity stunt, but resulted in 20% decrease in dog feces abandoned on town streets. There you go.
Sounds right.
Don't be a dick.
I have a similarly shitty story.
Whoa, hey.
Shelter offers to have cats poop on the names of donors' exes. So this was right around Valentine's Day.
Yeah.
We didn't cast last week, but a Kentucky animal shelter is raising funds by offering jilted lovers the chance to have cats do their business on the names of their exes. The Lexington Humane Society said donors can pay $10 to get some retribution for their broken hearts by having their exes inscribed on the inside of litter boxes to be used by the shelter's cats. Our adoptable kitties have your back and will dump all over your ex, the shelter said in a Facebook post. Cats can be spiteful creatures, and trust us, they are more than happy to take a number 2 on your former number 1.
Damn. There you go.
The dumps for the dumped promotion ends February 12th. But the litter boxes will remain in place until February 15 to ensure they get plenty of use on Valentine's Day.
Good job, guys.
Yeah. You're killing it, Kentucky.
Damn. Let's see. Sussex man surrenders to police for peace and quiet. A wanted man surrendered to police to avoid more time in lockdown with the people he lives with, forces said. Whoa.
Sorry.
The man, who has not been named, handed himself to the officers on Wednesday afternoon in a bid for some peace and quiet. Inspector Darren Taylor of Sussex Police posted about the bizarre exchange on Twitter. Along with the Minions gif, he added, one in custody and headed back to prison to serve some further time on his own.
So he just turned himself into police to just like get a break from all this shit?
Yeah, it was like, I fucking hate my roommates. Put me in jail again.
You know, I've often wondered that. It's like, man, because like I remember a while back somebody saying like, yeah, did you know like they charge you to be in jail now? And I'm like, well, that makes sense. And they're like, well, that's not cool. Like, you know, like you're in jail, like getting arrested, you're probably like already really poor and they're gonna punish you more. I'm like, yeah, but like I get the appeal. Like, hey man,
it's part of the punishment.
Fuck it.
Yeah.
You know, like I'm out. And you just go and like, why wouldn't you 3 haunts and a cot, like fucking whatever, minimum security prison sounds so bad. Like food, structure, you know, the people there aren't like horribly dangerous, so it's like, you know, they're probably on par with like the people that I grew up with anyway. It's like, I'm fine with that.
Was it a common thing for like homeless people like in the Midwest, if it got super cold, they would break into a place just so they can get arrested? I've heard stories of that.
Yeah, there was some of that. But usually what they would do is just like, you know, act out in some way. But yeah, that's why I always said, like, you know, man, like, homeless people out here are soft by comparison. Like, you want to be fucking homeless? You be homeless in fucking Chicago, Illinois. Like, those are some fucking hardcore homeless people because it's fucking brutal there.
I kind of think about it if you look at like you told me about the raccoons in the Midwest. They're like all big and gnarly. I'm like, okay, so I guess the homeless people would be big and gnarly too, right?
Yeah, I don't know, maybe, but like,
yeah, I figured like the softest like homeless people are like the homeless that live in Hawaii.
Maybe.
Because you just go to the beach and hang out,
man. What's going on? Yeah, I will say, though, that the homeless people here are far less aggressive than the homeless people in the Midwest.
Okay.
The people like homeless guys in the Midwest are coming like, hey, give me $1. It's like, no.
I said, give me $1, man.
Man, come on. I'm trying to come up to you with like some fucking like yarn. Like, hey man, here's the thing. It's like, check it out. Right? Like I'll try going to a homeless shelter, because I was like, I need some money for like some gas for my car, and I got these gas vouchers, see, right? But like they ain't having more gas vouchers. They were out for the day. You can check in with them, right? And it's like, I need some gas vouchers. So, and it's long and short of the story, man. It's like, I need $5.
Yeah. I got this $10 gas voucher. I'll give you for $5.
Yeah. It's so funny. I remember one time I was coming out of the coffee shop in Kalamazoo. This guy comes up to me and he's like, hey man. And I'm like, what's up, dude? And he's like, I'm trying to catch this bus over here. It's like $1.50. Like, you got $1.50, I'll catch a bus. And I was like, actually, I don't have any cash, but I do have a bus token. And I handed it to him. He was like, thanks. He just like walked off. Yep.
Not the bus. Don't say the bus.
Because I used to carry bus tokens with me because like I just
Damn, you were that one motherfucker, the bus tokens?
Yeah. I was like, I don't have any cash, but I got a bus token. Here you go. Right? It's like I've done that before where like I offer to buy people. I remember I had literally got to use the phrase beggars can't be choosers literally one time when I offered to buy this guy some food. And I was like, hey, man, I want to get some food. So I'm trying to get some food. And I'm like, sure. Hey, yeah, I'll buy you some food. Why don't we go down here to the Coney Island? He's like, yeah, sounds great. So we go down to Coney Island. I'm like, oh, shit, man, the Coney Island's closed. Why don't we go over here to like, it wasn't Rax, because Rax hasn't been around in like a million years. But it was like Checkers. And I was like, oh, I got on Checkers. Like, man, I got roaches there. I was like, dude, beggars can't be choosers. And my old lady was like, dude, like literally. It's like, yeah, right, literally. So I go down there and I like get him some food. I'm like, here you go, man, here's your food. He's just like snaps it. Thanks, man.
Fucking asshole.
Like walked. I was like, fucking cunt.
Yeah.
Like I walked like fucking 5 blocks with this guy, trying to keep a distance because he stank like all get out.
Yeah.
But like, I buy him some food. I'm sure it was only like $8 or $9 or whatever. But like, my policy is that if somebody asks me to buy them food, I just, unless I'm really far from someplace that has food, like my response is like, sure, yeah, great, here you go. You shouldn't go hungry, because that sucks. But like, I just go back to that one guy who was like, hey man, can I get some money? I'm trying to get fucked up.
It's like, all right.
Here you go.
Leave me alone. Go away.
Yep. Just
stay away from me.
Honesty's as good as empathy, right?
Yeah.
Like, just like, I'm trying to get fucked up.
I'm trying to party.
I'm trying to fucking get fucked up. It's like, yeah, well, okay, at least you're honest about that.
Yeah, another story?
Oh, yeah, I do actually. Texas accidentally issues an Amber Alert for cursed doll Chucky.
Okay.
The Texas Department of Public Safety said an Amber Alert that was issued for the cursed doll Chucky from Child's Play horror films was a test that was accidentally sent out.
Oh.
The Amber Alert that was sent out to subscribers of the Texas Alert system 3 times on Friday describes the suspect Chucky as wearing a blue denim overalls with a multicolored striped long-sleeve shirt and says he was last seen wielding a huge kitchen knife. Chucky was suspected of abducting, quote, Glenn Ray, the cursed doll's son from the film of The Seed of Chucky. The alert includes photos of both movie characters. The Texas Department of Safety said that the fake Amber Alert was set up as a system test and was never meant to be seen by the public. This was actually a test we were running and the dev servers accidentally went out. DPS spokesman, that dude, Medina, said DPS would like to, quote, apologize for the inconvenience.
Do you remember that whole, like, I guess it was an Amber Alert with, in Hawaii, they announced there was like a missile attack from North Korea. It was a few years ago. It was probably like, I want to say, somewhere around like 2012, 2013 or something like that.
Oh, damn.
So people were freaking out. I was like, what? There's going to be an attack. Like, missiles are coming our way. It's like, no, we didn't mean to do that.
No, I don't remember that at all.
Oh, okay.
I do remember, like, most of the time, I was like, oh my God, an Amber Alert. Someone's missing. This is horrible. But then normally it's just like, I'm like, oh, is this an Amber Alert? Oh, it's a missing elderly.
They're probably dead
Yeah,
already.
I don't care. Fuck them.
Whoa.
Just, okay. They just wandered. I don't know. In the grocery store. It's like, yeah. Missing elderly people. No one cares about that. Like, why would you care about that? Unless it's your loved one, then, you know.
Yeah, mostly you see them for, like, kidnappings or armed robbery or something like that.
Also, I think it's kind of like, because the Amber Alert, like, amber is a color, but the Amber Alert is named after a gal named Amber. And when old people just go missing, they just call it a Silver Alert. It's like, it seems a little insensitive. A receding hairline alert.
Whoa, hey.
Saggy tits alert. It's just like rubbing salt in the wound. It's like, it's sort of like a...
There's a Matlock alert.
Yeah, it's a Matlock alert. It's a pot roast alert.
Whoa, hey. Marie Callender's alert.
Marie Callender's alert. Like, it's insignificant. Like, whatever.
I've told you this before. I never knew Marie Callender's was a restaurant. I thought it was like, this is the place we get pie.
I didn't know
it's a restaurant. Like, I never took the time. I've gone to the place before. I never, like, took the time to, like, turn left. I was like, oh, there's a sit-down place. I didn't know that.
I didn't know it was a restaurant until I moved here because I just like always see the ones in the grocery store.
Yeah, the frozen pies.
Yeah.
Pop pies.
Well, they make other stuff too, like TV dinners and shit. And I was like, I had no idea it was a store.
Yeah.
I just thought it was like, you know, it'd be like if you went into like a store, it's like healthy choice, lean cuisine. I was like, this is a fucking store?
Or
Hungry Man.
Was Cracker Barrel. I didn't know that was a restaurant. I thought it was just like a little gift set that you get once in a while.
Oh, no. See, like people go to Cracker Barrel.
Yeah.
Like,
I didn't know that. We don't have that here.
Oh, yeah. No, they have them in the Midwest. I remember I knew this gal that worked there. She was the one that introduced me to the concept of Ghetto lemonade. Because she worked at a Cracker Barrel. And Cracker Barrel and Applebee's are what really poor people think a nice restaurant is.
Oh, okay.
So it's like they go to like on Apple.
Sit down.
Because like I remember this, I had this girlfriend, Ashley, and her mom was a waitress at Applebee's, and she was talking about how her mom, she's like, yeah, she's going to be really busy tonight because, you know, Valentine's Day. I was like, who the fuck goes to Applebee's for Valentine's Day? And she was like, oh, really poor people think that Applebee's is like a nice restaurant to go to.
Yeah.
And I was like, really? And she was like, oh, yeah, it gets packed. I was like, are you fucking kidding me? Like, Applebee's is like what you're driving and you're like, man, I'm hungry. And like, there's an Applebee's over here. I was like, oh, yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Like, that's fine.
I got them baby back ribs.
Yeah, this is Apple. Their claim to fame is that we have a lot of stuff. None of it's very good, but we have a lot of it.
Yeah, we can microwave it for you real quick.
You can just make anything you want. Like if you want chicken tenders, you want a burger, you want fucking beer, you want like ribs, you want quesadillas, you want fucking like just something vaguely Asian. Like we have all that shit, but just none of it's any good. Cheesecake Factory is the same thing.
Oh yeah.
Just like fucking menu to the moon, but nothing's really very good. It's just like a crowd pleaser because you can get whatever you want. So that's fine.
Yeah. I was thinking about it like a big corporate, like, if you don't have like a local bar, that's usually like the go-to place for most people to go to. It's like, let's go to Applebee's and have some beer. I'm like, okay. I'm not really into that, but okay.
Yeah. Well, because there's an Applebee's in every fucking corner.
Yeah.
I remember this happened to me and my uncle. Oh, by the way, I feel like I should explain what Ghetto lemonade is before we move on. Ghetto lemonade is when people are so poor that they want lemonade, but they won't order lemonade. And so what they do is they order a glass of water with a lot of lemon, and then they ask for extra sugar packets at the table. And they just put a bunch of like sugar packets and like lemon in their water.
It's like all the sugar in the bottom.
Yeah, so that's what Ghetto lemonade is. And she was like, that's how you know whatever table you're getting will not fucking tip you at all, no matter how big their bill is. Like, 'cause they order Ghetto lemonade. But anyway, back to my original point about Chili's is me and my uncle were in Grand Rapids, and we were coming back from, I don't know, somewhere he used to work. I think maybe like a coffee shop or something he used to work at. And I was like, man, I'm kind of fucking hungry. Are you hungry? He's like, yeah, I'm kind of hungry. He's like, what do you want? And I'm like, I don't know. Like, why don't we just go someplace like Chili's or whatever? And he's like, yeah, okay, that's fine. So we're just driving, and we're driving down the highway, and or it's not like a highway, it's like what you guys would call an expressway.
Okay.
It's like 50, 55 miles an hour, but it's like still like, you know, occasionally has stoplights and shit. And we're driving, And we're driving for like 10 or 15 minutes. And finally it dawns on me, I'm like, we're getting farther away from things that look like they're like an area where a restaurant would be. And so finally I asked him, I'm like, dude, like, you go to college here, right? Like, you do know that there's a Chili's around here somewhere, right? Like, we're not just driving randomly. He's like, dude, I don't fucking know. I just assume this is fucking America. And if you drive for longer than 10 minutes in any direction from where you are, you will eventually get to a Chili's. And I was like, so you don't know where the Chili's is? And he's like, dude, I just assumed. Oh, actually, there's one right there. We just like pulled in. I was like, it's like in the middle of having the argument about how dumb it was that he would just drive in one. He's like, I just assumed you could drive at any point in any American city for like 15 minutes and eventually you'll hit a Chili's.
He's like, oh.
And it was like right in the middle of like that. Like, dude, why would you assume that? And then he's like, oh, there's one right there. Yeah. It's like, sure enough. Like, yeah, okay, Chili's.
I have like a similar situation where I'm living right now. Like between the cigar shop and where I live, there's really nothing in between. I'm like, where the fuck's like, where's the gas stations? Where all these restaurants are
trying to get a spicy bite on my way.
Yeah, and then like it's one of those things where you hear those stories about like people getting lost in a desert, and then like they're about to die, and they're only like a mile and a half away from like the closest rest stop. They just didn't realize where they are. Like I drive around like not even like half a block. It's like, oh, this is where all the stuff is. There's like 4 gas stations, a Walgreens, like a McDonald's.
I was like, I was putting my dick in a goat, and there was all these like hot ratchet hose over here. It's like, I don't fucking know what was going on.
It's like, this is a fucking food desert. Where the fuck am I gonna buy anything?
Yeah. Yeah, it's like, yeah, man, whatever. I get it.
Yeah, but it's like when you're like in bumfuck wherever, like. That's the place you go to, like Applebee's and Chili's and all that stuff. Is like, it's not good, but
no,
it's mostly they have like big screen TVs and beer.
Yeah,
like
I remember going there with went to Chili's with my ex-girlfriend Katrina, my buddy Corey, his girlfriend, and like some other fucking chucklehead, and it was like. I was like looking at the menu, like I've never been to Chili's before. Like, I don't know what they have here. I'm like, all right, oh, so I'm just gonna have like
the crazy wacky nacho bites.
No, I'm gonna have like just the spicy chipotle chicken tenders and some fries. And my buddy Corey was like, yeah, that sounds pretty good. Or actually, no, Katrina was like, yeah, I'm gonna have the spicy chipotle chicken tenders and some fries. And then her friend was like, yeah, I think I'm gonna have that too. And then Corey was just like, spicy chipotle chicken tenders all around. We all just ordered the same fucking thing.
Yeah,
it's like,
did we do that when we went to the San Jose Improv? It was like, we'll just have some chicken tenders.
Yeah, because it's like the one like chicken tenders, mozzarella sticks, jalapeno poppers.
You can't fuck it up.
These are things you know just are gonna be good.
Yeah,
right. And if it's a place where they have food, and there's like a dude, and you go up and you can be like, hey man, what are you guys known for?
Yeah.
And you could be like, oh, we're known for like our fucking shrimp tacos or something. You're like, okay, give me that, right? I don't even like shrimp, but just give me whatever you're known for. But like at a place like an improv comedy show, I think we were at seeing Brooke Kreischer, right? Yeah. And I was like, I don't fucking know I don't know if any of this is any good. It's a comedy club, so I don't know if they have good food. I don't know fucking anything. I'm just going to get something that's deep fried, that's just like fucking sounds like you can't fuck it up. Like, is it food? Is it hot? Great. There you go.
That worked out.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't remember being disappointed. Being like, what the fuck is this?
Yeah, it's like one of those places you see, like, if you go to like a pizza place and you have like the menu's like half the wall. I'm like, just give me a fucking cheese pizza. I have no idea if any of your pizza's good at all, but I know you can't fuck that up.
Yeah.
Cheese pizza and pepperoni.
And there's some things that I'm like hip to, right? Like if I go into some place, if I go into a dry cleaner and there's like a Korean chicken place that's like attached to the dry cleaner, yeah, I'm getting that chicken. I'm getting that chicken. If I go into some dry cleaner or I go into some like other random place, like, oh yeah, we do like copies, and like if you need a rubber stamp made, we have that, and we also have Vietnamese sandwiches over here on this side. I'm like, okay, I don't need any printing or anything done, but I'm gonna get one of these Vietnamese sandwiches because it's gonna be fucking dope. It's gonna be you could be like, what the fuck is this? This is the best Vietnamese sandwich I ever had. Like, yeah.
I tested out your theory when I went to the barbershop today. They had like the line of people that you get booked for an appointment. I was like, oh, Vietnamese lady. I'm gonna take a gamble on that one because last two times I got a dude doing it. It was like it was pretty fast. I'm like, oh, look fine.
Yeah.
And then, but like the attention to detail with the lady, it took me like, with the guys, it would take like 20 minutes. With the chick, it took 45 minutes. Like, yeah, here's an extra tip. I like that.
Yeah, you look sharp.
It's like,
yeah, it's sharp as fuck. It's like I was telling
it's like
you.
one of those things like she's looking in the mirror and just like cutting one hair. It's like,
Yeah.
all right, all right, all right, all right.
Because women have this tick about they don't want men to look fucking like bums. Because they see all they see is like, that guy looks like a bum. Tuck your shirt in. Shine your shoes. You look like shit. You missed a spot shaving. You're a fucking slob. And so like now they have some semblance of control over that. And they're like, I'm going to make this one guy that paid me some money look like he's fucking on fleek.
Yeah.
Like that's, and similar to like, it's just like the things, like I just... Women have a greater attention to detail. And when it comes to cutting hair, like I want, like, don't get me wrong, like when it comes to someone shaving me, I want someone that shaves their face.
Yeah.
Like I've never had a shave at a barber or anything, but if I ever did, I would not want a woman doing it, right? Because I know that if you gave me a razor...
Sit still, my hands aren't like they used to be.
Yeah, like if you gave me a razor and you said, get rid of all the hair on my cunt. Like I would be like, I don't know how to do that, right? Like I like the way it looks and it's nice, but I can't do it, right? You do it. No, you do it. Like I would just be like, you're just gonna have like this mangled, gnarled mess of like fucking vagina.
You won't be using it for too long.
Yeah,
after this.
it'd be done. You'd be out. So yeah, it's just like
Give me a episiotomy. I don't understand why. Just ask for a shave.
I don't know. It's like I have this FGM down there now. I don't know why. But yeah, it's like comes to cutting hair. It's like, yeah. And I learned this too because my old friend Debo used to be... Debo! Danielle Bober is her name, so we call her Debo. And I haven't talked to her in forever, but man, I miss that chick so much. But like she cut hair. She's like, oh, I can't cut women's hair at all.
Oh, yeah.
She's like, and a lot of like lady barbers, lady hairstylists are that way. It's like men's hair is easier to deal with because there's like less variables happening or whatever. So like I'll cut the shit out of some guy's hair, but like all my gal pals, I don't know how to cut that. I don't know what to do with it. It's fucking a nightmare.
I found it kind of because for most of my life I went to like a hair salon to get my hair cut. And the barbershop I went to today, the guy was like cleaning up his station. It was about closing time. He was talking to the lady that was cutting my hair. It's like, yeah, that dude just wanted like a style. I can't do that. I'm a barber. I was like, oh yeah, you're right. They're two different things.
Yeah, like the barber in my hometown. There was this place in Parchment, which is like a small suburb outside of Kalamazoo, where me and my uncle grew up. And there was this one barbershop. It was called Carl's. And you could always tell if some other kid got his haircut at Carl's because he had the same haircut you did. He just knew how to do the one haircut, which is like a little off the top and like short on the sides, faded in. Like you just like had the Carl's haircut. That was it. It was like going in and out. It's like, man, we got double burgers, we got single burgers and fries, and that's it.
Yeah.
Like we don't do other shit. He was just like, oh, what do you want? Like he wouldn't even ask you. You just sit down and you just start cutting your hair.
Wait,
like, it's just like, nope, you're getting this one haircut I know how to do. I mean, he stayed in business for like 1,000,000 years or whatever, so I don't know. He must have been doing something right.
It's just like a fucking military guy. It's just like a stack of people with the same haircut.
Yeah, it was. Everybody had the same Carl's haircut. It was like kind of like my hair is now, but shorter on the sides and back, and then like a little bit shorter on the top. It was like everybody had this really homogenized haircut. No matter if it suited your face or your body type or whatever, it didn't matter. It was just like you had this haircut. So it looked okay on me when I was a kid, but like I knew kids that like I went to school with that were kind of like fat and they like, you know, they were kind of like pudgy and weird and like they had the same haircut that I did. It was like weird on their head. Yeah, I don't know how to do anything else, man.
I didn't even ask for it. He just gave it to me.
I got the Carl special.
You have to pay extra if you want something different. You think those guys are just on autopilot? Like, yeah, fuck it, whatever.
Yeah.
You don't like it, go fuck off.
I went and got my hair cut at this barber that was like right around the corner from the coffee shop that I used to go to in Kalamazoo. Because this is back when I didn't have a car. So I was like, look, man, this place is walking distance. So I just like walked over there. And it was like it was like three crusty old guys playing dominoes. And then like an other old crusty guy. And he looked like he was missing an eye or something. Yeah. And he cut my hair. First of all, this is a big distinction that I never noticed that until my friend Debo pointed out, which is like women wet your hair before they cut it.
Yeah.
And male barbers typically don't. They won't wet your hair. But like he cut my hair, and I don't think he ever touched my fucking head. He was just like, and I was just like, I was a little afraid. I was like, okay, man. Like, and I went home and I looked at it in the mirror. I'm like, it looks like a butcher cut my fucking hair, like a meat cleaver. It's fucking horrible. Like, I could do a better job myself. I paid this guy. You know? It's like fucking terrible.
That's for me, like, because I have to, take off my glasses when I get a haircut. I can't see shit. I just see hair being removed. It's like, well, put on my glasses. I hope this looks good. I'm like, all right, it looks fine.
That's
a crapshoot.
If there's one saving grace, it's that you will notice the imperfections in your haircut before someone else will notice the imperfections in your haircut. Like, you'll get your haircut and it'll be fucking horrible, and someone will be like, "Oh, you got your haircut, looks good," and you're like, no,
what?
No, it doesn't.
Yeah.
Or my favorite slight to someone when they get their haircut and it looks bad, I always say like, "Oh, you got a haircut," and they're like, "Yeah," and I'm like, "Yeah, I always mess it up when I cut it myself."
Yeah, you weren't having it that one accident. You just like, I was like, well, he doesn't look very happy. I'm not gonna say anything.
Yeah, I was not happy. I was not happy. That was a rough couple months where I was like, all right, man. And I post on Instagram for a while. I'm like, I'm gonna let this shit grow back. This is fucking like Sling Blade style. And like my uncle, because that happened another time where I was like a similar...
Oh, you shaved your beard off?
No, I was
that one time.
I did shave my beard off on accident, but one time...
You didn't look very happy either. I was like, okay, I'm going to leave him alone.
Yeah, because I was trying to like even it up, and what happened is I just like missed it. It was like... And I was like, okay.
Looks like I'm wearing goatee now.
Yep. Nope. Just got it all off.
She just went with the stash, dude.
My girlfriend was like, I don't like this. I'm like, yeah. My face looks fat when I don't have a beard for whatever reason. Turned 30 and it's like I don't have a beard. My face looks like fat now. I don't know why. But yeah, it happened when I was a kid one time, and like this fucking irritated me, man. Because like when you're a kid, you kind of put some trust in your parents, and
no, it looks good. Your friends will like it.
I'm getting my hair cut, and like I was young, and so I kept my hair even shorter than I do now. I didn't wear product in my hair, and like. Come to think of it, like 12-year-old me was more of a man than I am now. But I was like, she was like, okay, so we're just going to put some product in your hair. And I'm like, don't put that in my hair. And she's like, well, no, it's like, it's cool. It's like, like everybody wears like the, pomade in their hair. I'm like, I don't want any faggot shit in my hair. And she's like, no, it'll be fine, right? And my dad is like, let her do her job. Fucking just shut up, shithead. And I'm like, okay, all right. My dad's scary, so I'm just going to shut up. So she cuts my hair, and he's like, yeah, it looks good. Yeah, you look sharp. Come on, let's get the fuck out of here and go to the arcade and get some pizza or whatever. Dad shit. Hashtag dad shit. And so then I get home, and I'm like, I need a shower, right? All itchy from the haircut. I'm like, I'm rinsing this fucking goop out of my hair. I don't need shit in my hair. So I rinse it out, and I wash it, and I get out, and then like in the back, it just like,
yeah,
like fucking alfalfa.
Yeah,
right. It just like sticks up and it like won't lay down for the life of me. And I was like immediately, I was like, that fucking cunt, because I got it cut at like Meyer. Do you know what Meyer is?
Yeah, I heard of him.
Right. So they had like a salon upstairs. Like you don't get your hair cut at Meyer. Like who the fuck works at Meyer cutting hair? Like they used to have this. And I like went to the Meyer. My dad took me to Meyer because we were poor. So we just like, whatever, here's like, is a fucking old Hispanic guy has a garden clippers and they'll cut your fucking hair for like $8 or whatever. That was like how I rolled, right? My family just like, whatever's the cheapest option. Just fucking here. Just shop at Kmart and get my clothes at Kmart for after school year clothes or whatever. And I got my hair cut at Meyer. I'm like, this is good for shopping at Meyer. Fucking haircuts. I look like a retard. I look like a retard. Fucking alfalfa haircut.
You make fun of me at school.
No, yeah, and then I was like, oh, I'll just trim it. Right, this is a one little strand, and then I trimmed it, and then it just created this little tuft of like fucking hair on my head. It was like so bad. And I was like, oh, it's so bad. And then like And then so, like one kid like made fun of me and I punched him, and so that was the end of that.
Solved that problem.
Yeah, that was my solution to everything when I was a kid, is punch people.
Yeah.
Punch, punch, punch. I video chatted with
Whoa, COVID, bro. Whoa, what the?
excuse me.
Oh.
I video chatted with my cousin last night. Not the one that lives in Spain, but my cousin Cody, who is the only other cousin that I talk to. I have like 12 or 13 cousins. And like I talked to 2 of them, one of them pretty frequently and one of them like occasionally. And I was talking to him, and made me feel kind of bad, man, because he was talking about like, yeah, you know, like all that stuff you taught me when I was a kid. You know, about how like you just don't take guff from people, and like if someone fucks with you, just like fuck them up, and I'm like, I was thinking in my head, I was like, man, and I should have said this to him, but I didn't.
I never told you that.
No, I did tell him that.
Okay.
But like, I was in high school, and like he was like, he's younger than me, obviously, and I was trying to like teach him how to like survive being an adolescent. And he like took those lessons and carried them onto adulthood. Yeah. Which is not good.
No mercy.
Right. Which is like, you don't do that.
Strike first, strike hard. No mercy.
Yeah. Like, just like, hey man, if someone gives you guff about something, you just fuck them up.
They have different ideas than you do. Fuck them up.
Not so much that, but like, you know, just like, because I don't know what your childhood was like. We don't really talk about that sort of shit, but, so this is what like got me through, because I was always little. I'm little now, but I was like little as a kid, and so people like think, oh, you're little, I can pick on you. And so what I learned very quickly is that like kids, say before the age of like high school, are not really prepared for the aggression of a punch to the face. Like they'll bully you, they'll push you, they'll like, you know, grab your shirt or whatever. But most of it can be ameliorated by, like, if you were just willing to just put your fist in their face, that wins almost every dispute. And then after a while, people go like, well, that kid will punch your face up and fuck you up, so just leave him alone. And so that's how I kind of got by when I was a kid, which is like what's like a magic power. Like, hey, man, your shoes are stupid. And it's just like... Okay, I guess you're okay. It's like, yeah, I win. And I have a fist, and I put it in your face. Because little kids don't know how to throw punches or, like, have any concept or have the emotional maturity and wherewithal to, like, sustain a punch to the face and, like, do something about it. They just, you know, they just crumble like paper mache. And so when you realize that as a kid, it's like a superpower. You're like, oh man, I can just punch my way to the fucking top. You know, like, and that's how I was when I was a kid. I just punched everybody that like gave me guff about anything. And that worked pretty well for me until like you get to an age when
someone was like, Ernest, I like your haircut. Oh, what the fuck? I really meant it.
No, it's like when you get to an age when it's like you develop mentally, like, you know, high school, and kids like start to get big and like, you know, like, okay, like, I might have to punch that guy like 20 times before he fucking goes down. Like, start to reassess the whole situation, get some emotional maturity, and like kind of adjust the barometer. And you get to adulthood, you know, and people are like, hey man, you want to fucking go outside? It's like, I don't know. I don't, because I'm an adult.
Why? What's out there?
And I don't fight with people because it's fucking stupid and immature. But like, yeah, I was talking to my cousin. He was like, yeah, man, you know, like all that stuff you taught me. I was like, man, you like carry that shit onto adulthood. It was just trying to get you through like school without getting bullied. I didn't want you to be a bully because I didn't want you to be bullied because I care about you.
But it feels so good though.
You know, just like, you ever just like, you know, just like, you know, beat up on someone and just feel so good about yourself, you know? No. But cool.
So let's get on to the cigar review of the week.
Yeah. Are you enjoying this? It seems like something you would like.
Yeah, I like it. Yeah, it's pretty good. It's what are we smoking?
We're smoking the Goliath from Foundation. I think it's branded the Tabernacle Goliath. So I make 2 sizes, the David and Goliath. One is big and one is small.
Really?
I don't remember which is which. But we're smoking the Goliath. And it's a broadleaf wrapper, I think, with just Nicaraguan binder and filler in it. And yeah, it tastes like a broadleaf. Tastes like a Nicaraguan broadleaf. Like, it's not as rich as like some broadleafs I've had, but it definitely has more of that kind of like leather. And
there is a little bit of a gap.
Yeah.
like it is balanced, but there's just a little bit of a hollowness to it, but it's still a very enjoyable cigar. Yeah, the oomph is like kind of tipping on that scale. Like it has some power and oomph to it, but it's just like not quite there.
Yeah.
But the balance is still there. Like it's like the flavors are very not big, but the finish is pretty long.
Yeah, like I said, I get a lot of like leather and not as much spice as I would have expected from a Nicaraguan.
I think that's what it's missing, the
Yeah,
spice.
yeah, it's because usually with a broadleaf especially, you get like that spice, and it's really just kind of supplanted by like, I get a little bit of leather and a little bit of like kind of black cherry like on the
I get like a
finish.
citrus too.
Yeah, maybe a little bit of that too, but yeah, it's, to me it's almost more like a tart cherry, like so that kind of like not quite to the citrus level of like
It's almost like the
bite.
rind of like an orange.
Yeah.
Not as bright, but it has that tartness like you were saying. But
Yeah,
not
I
quite
get. For me, it's more like black cherry tartness than it is like citrus tartness because it's like you said, it's not as bright, and so it's like as weird as it is to describe a flavor as bright, and I hate ambiguous terminology, but like yeah, it's like
what other way you're going to describe it? That's the problem.
yeah, it's a big problem. Because I do that all the time where I'll smoke something and I'll be like, what the
Ooh,
fuck?
it's smooth.
I'm like, what the fuck is this flavor I'm
Yeah, I don't
tasting,
know.
right?
Yeah.
I just try to like tease it out, like, because sometimes they're just like really esoteric flavors. It's like, I remember that was a problem with, for the longest time, like the Singulare. I'm like, what is this like ripe fruit sweetness that I'm tasting? Like, what fruit is it? Because it's not passion fruit, it's not pineapple. It's like, I smoked probably like a half a dozen of them before I put my finger. I was like, it tastes like kiwi. Like, it's not a flavor you get in cigars like ever. And I was like, why do I like this fucking cigar so much? It tastes very distinct from other cigars. And it was like, it has like this kiwi flavor. And then the late hour has a little bit of that kiwi flavor, but it's tempered with this more like
The leather and the
scotchiness to it. Like, it's kind of got like that peaty Scotch flavor to it. Which I think that cigar is actually aged in Scotch barrels, so that kind of makes sense. But or maybe it's not. I don't know. I could be mistaken. But yeah, it's a solid cigar. I give it like probably like a 8.2. I give it an 8.2.
I agree with you. Yeah, it matches the lineup. Definitely, it's not like an oddball out of that whole Foundation lineup within even that Tabernacle line.
Yeah.
Because that seat there, what is the CT?
Yeah.
That one was a awesome cigar.
Yeah. See, the thing I love about Foundation is they released the Tabernacle. That was like their first flagship stick, right? And you smoke the Tabernacle and you're like, this is pretty fucking good. And then they started releasing other stuff. And for me, by comparison, the Tabernacle is one of the like subpar sticks in their line. That CT, the High Clare Castle, like most of the other stuff in their line is like equal to or better than that. And that's a pretty good benchmark. They were, I don't care for the Charter Oak Maduro.
Okay.
Or not Maduro, Connecticut.
Okay.
The Connecticut, I used to like it, and I don't like it anymore.
The Connecticut's kind of just like a run of the mill. It's nothing really to write home about because you can grab something else. The only thing that brings you back to is the price point.
It has a weird aftertaste to me.
Oh, okay.
It's just got like the same weird aftertaste that like funky Dominican cigars have. The Maduro is fine. The CT is really fucking good. The Wise Man and the Wise Man Maduro are both really good cigars. And then this is pretty solid too. And then
Which Wiseman has the like that maroon band?
well, there's a Wise Man and a Wise Man Maduro.
And that's the one with the blue and then
It's like blue and like silver and gold, I think. And then there's like a one that's red, and the red is the Maduro. And
Okay.
that cigar, especially in the Churchill size, like it's a true Churchill. It's really good. And the High Clare Castles are both good too. They're expensive, and I don't know that they're really worth the price. But they're pretty solid too. The Maduro and the Connecticut's and those. But and the Habano Charter Oak is actually I was pretty impressed with. I thought that was a pretty solid cigar.
yeah.
So yeah, but generally speaking, Foundation has got a pretty good reputation with me. And
Yeah, they seem kind of under the radar for most people. Like, not a lot of people know about Foundation cigars at all.
well, they're pretty boutique. I mean, they're not. And
Yeah, they're not the level of like Illusione or Tatuaje.
right.
in like boutique space.
Yeah.
Like those are like the top tier.
Yeah, but they're quickly like establishing themselves. I think as long as they just don't expand their line too much too soon,
Yeah.
they'll be good.
Don't do a Kuwavari.
Yeah, Kurovari is like
They still, but the good thing about Kuwavari is like those solid lines have been pretty consistent.
yeah.
So I can't really.
Yeah,
poo-poo them.
the cigars that are good in their line, which is again only about at this point because they dump so much on the market, about a quarter of their line.
Mm-hmm.
But like the white labels, the Buenaventuras, the Buenaventura Crema, the Buenaventura Praline, the Sun Grown Maduro, actually even just the regular Sun Grown,
Cafe Noir.
the Cafe Noir, the Cafe. Yeah, there's just like all those are pretty solid fucking sticks, and they remain solid for going on a decade now.
Yeah.
And so that's, as long as I can keep the quality of the things that I like up, I don't really care if like it's only a quarter of their line that I really like.
Mm-hmm.
And generally speaking, places that have Kurovari, they usually just, they don't have like a lot of their stuff.
Yeah.
And so I'd be curious to see whether they kind of tweak with some of their lines that they put out a few years ago and try to make them different or better. Because there was some decent stuff in there. Like I could see with just some minor tweaks, like the Aristotle could go from like a serviceable cigar to a decent cigar, and a couple of other ones could go from like serviceable to decent, just with like a little minor tweaks here and there. Or even just sitting on the crop would probably help. Because I will say that some of the medium sticks that they put, the Aristotle, the Pythagoras, the Sun Grown, the, what was that other one? Not the Socrates, the Centaur. And I've had a few of those that have like had a couple of years of age on them, and they do kind of age out well for like a medium flavored stick. They don't. Because there is some depth of flavor there. It's clear that they're using like fairly decent tobacco, but it just hasn't had time to marinate enough yet. It kind of reminds me of like when you smoke a Bolivar that has like a year or two on it.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, okay, this gained something as a general rule, but it just doesn't have the like the difference is a Bolivar fresh out of the box without any age on it, still fucking dynamite, and like some of their sticks just really aren't.
Yeah, I was trying to think of other lines that kind of they're really tight with their lineup. I think like Regis. I think it's a time for them to expand a little bit, because like they just have like the USA exclusivos of the red, blue, and white.
Yep.
And they have their flagship, that black label. I don't know what they call it.
I think it's called the Black Label. Yeah.
Okay, this is the black label.
And then the Sun Grown and the Maduro.
They need to drop that Maduro, man.
Yeah.
It's not good. Compared to that Sun Grown, I'm like, this is fucking
Yeah, the
dope.
Sun Grown Maduro is fucking good.
Yeah.
Did you smoke any of those Claros, the white label USA exclusivos recently?
No, not recently. Oh, yeah?
I got one out of the box the other day. I was like,
Oh. Because the stuff that we have is like just stock we've had for a couple months, so I don't know if that would add anything to it, but
I don't know, man. Like I had reached for that white label, because I always reach for the red label. The blue label is kind of like I just take it or leave it. Like when I want a Maduro from them, I smoke the Sun Grown Maduro. Mm-hmm. And then the Claro, the white label, I always thought was like decent, but I always just reach for the red label. It's like my jam. It's one of my favorite cigars. And the other day I was like, yeah, it's kind of the morning. We didn't have any JJs. Like we didn't have any H2Ks. We didn't have any Epernets. And so I was like, I'm just going to grab one of these. And I smoked it. And I was like, dude, this is fucking on point.
Huh.
And I smoked a couple more of them out of that same box, and they were pretty fucking on point.
Okay,
I'll
probably smoke them this weekend. Yeah.
Really good.
Yeah.
For like better than it used to be. I think it's just been sitting there for a while and probably benefited from a little bit of settling in.
Cool.
But yeah, they should. You're right. They should expand their line. Although they had the winter blend and the Orchant.
Those are good.
Both of which are dope, but they're
overpriced.
Yeah. I don't know how much the winter blends were. I don't think they were that much.
Yeah, because we don't have them at the shop.
Yeah.
I just got them from Bob.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, the thing I liked about that is it really did taste wintry. It kind of had like a minty, like almost juniper flavor to it. Like it was like, oh, this actually does taste like Christmas. Like what is?
It's like a coolness out of it. Yeah.
Yeah. Like it's a bite with like a little bit of like almost like gin, like juniper, and like mintness, and it was like, oh, this does taste like Christmas. It was like I would think a Christmas cigar would taste like. That's what it tastes like.
Wish I knew a little bit more about that brand, other than that guy, and that's about it. I don't know if he blends it or who the fuck blends it.
Yeah, he does.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay, that's why he's.
That's why he's got that big dick energy.
Yeah,
He's
like, all right,
fucking, okay, yeah. Hey, your cigars are really good, man. Yeah, fucking no.
I know that.
It was funny because
Yeah, baby, I know it.
shut up, baby, I know it. It's funny because I met that guy in Ann Arbor, and I had like a recollection. Like, he's a pretty cool guy. And then a couple people I know had been like, oh yeah, I met that guy. He's kind of a jerk. And I was like, oh, well, I remember being pretty cool. And then he came to the West Coast for an event, and like I talked to him for a bit, and then I had a couple people like come up to me like, hey, yeah, that guy's pretty cool. And I was like, really? Because I kind of think he's a jerk now.
Oh, really? I thought he was cool.
Yeah, he's kind of a jerk. Like the second time talking to him, I was like, I was kind of a fucking dick.
It's like, I know how to blend cigars. Don't tell me what to do.
Yeah, it's like every story I've ever heard about Pete Johnson. Like my buddy Matt confirmed this too. He was like, yeah, man, I was like talking to Pete Johnson. He's at some event, I was like trying to talk to him, and he was just like not having it. Like he just like did not want to fucking talk to me at all. He was just like,
yeah, he's too cool for school.
Yeah.
I was like, I whatever, man. You want to talk to Pete Johnson? I'm like, all right, you're not that cool, bro.
Yeah, look, I can like your cigars and not think that you're cool.
Yeah, there's some owners of cigar brands that were, they don't make very good cigars, but they seem really cool people.
Yeah, that's the thing. Is I was talking with Matt about this because I've been doing a lot of video chatting this week, man. I video chatted with Kurt like twice. I video chatted with Stacy. I video chatted with Matt. I video chatted with my fucking cousin. I was video chatting up all fucking.
You're like a Twitch star, bro. Yeah, on Twitch, man.
And so like he was like, yeah, I was like, here's the thing, man. It was like. Because he was talking about how cool Matt Booth is. He was like, Matt Booth is fucking super cool.
Is he?
That's what he said.
He's like a super dweeb, dude.
He was like, yeah, he's a fucking dork, but he's super fun. He was like, I came up and I was like, he was like, yeah, like Caldwell. I went over to the Caldwell booth and they were like, hey, yeah. Like, he's like, oh, hey, how can I help? And they were like, hey, why don't you just go help Matt? He doesn't have a booth. And I was like, wait a minute. His name is Matt Booth. And they didn't just give him a booth because his name is Matt Booth? And he was like, no. And he was like, so I go up to him, I'm like, hey, man, I'm Matt. I guess I got, like, assigned to kind of, like, help you out. He's like, all right, man, here's the fucking thing. We're going to fucking get crazy with it, right? So he's like, check out what I got. He's like, I got these little fucking, like, these pads. We're going to put these in the urinals, right? They got my face on them. And he was like, man, you really like to put your face on stuff, do you? He was like, I love to put my face on shit, right? Yeah. He's like, we're going to put my face in the urinals, bro. It's going to be dope. And he was like, all right, we're going to fucking get along, right? We're going to get along with this dude. Like, but I was like, yeah, that's how it goes. Is like, guys who have really good cigars, they have all this bravado that goes along with them. They're like, I'm fucking super cool. And the guys that like don't really have great cigars, like they're super cool because they're like, trying to like make a name for themselves, make a brand and whatever. And I was like, man, yeah, why can't like, I just like, I want both. It's like, hang out like, oh, you're a super cool guy. It's like, hey man, you want like one of my sticks? Like, yeah, no,
I'll smoke it later. Don't worry. I'll definitely smoke it later.
Yeah. No, I got this Capaguan from Johnson over there. I was gonna smoke that. Your stuff is terrible.
You're a cool dude though.
You're cool, but your cigars suck.
Yeah.
I don't know what to tell you. I don't know how it goes, but like, yeah, that seems to be a corollary between like, it goes that way with reps too. The reps, I mean, with the exception of like Cornelius and Anthony, shit cigars and shit rep.
Yeah.
But generally speaking, it's like, hey, it's like good cigars, douche rep.
Yeah. It's like, you want to buy shit from me. Why would it be nice to you, man?
Yeah, exactly. Sure, cigars are really good. Yeah, fucking no.
Did you make it? No, just represent.
No, just you see my ring?
Yeah, this fucking dick bags.
It's a ring.
Fucking edgelords, dude.
That was so funny to me when you were just like, it was like a couple days later, like, man, I really like that whole like navy suit look, like with the white dress shirt and like the brown leather belt and shoes. Like, I really like that look, but all those fucking like douchebag like reps, that's how they dress, and I just don't want to dress like they dress. And then like 2 days later, the Oliva rep came in. It's exactly what he was fucking wearing. It was like exactly like to a T, in a fucking clean plastic white dress shirt, navy suit, brown shoes, brown belt.
It goes in three ways. All right, they got the the blue suit dudes with the brown shoes.
Yeah.
The guys got that look like they're magicians. they fucking have the rings.
The Chris Angel look.
Yeah, Chris Angel look. They have bracelets up their ass, fucking like chains and shit like that. It look like they're gonna do a magic trick for you, some shit like that. And then they got the guys like they look like a golf dad. Like, I just came off the golf course, guys. What's up? Hey, how's it going?
The general rep.
Yeah, the old hey. Yeah, he's a nice guy.
Yeah,
but he just looks like he just came off a golf course.
Yeah,
this guy just got done with the back nine, guys. How's it going?
Yeah, yeah. I felt like I really wanted to like. That guy came in, and this was like probably 2-3 years ago, back when he was still a general rep, which I don't think he is anymore because he was like 70 then or whatever. And he came in, he was like, "Hey man, how's it going?" I'm like, "Oh, it's pretty good." He's like, "Hey, you guys need some stuff, you know? Like, oh, we got some new Macanudo Inspirados out." And I was like, "Oh yeah, yeah." He's like, "Hey, you want those?" And I was like, "Man, I'm gonna be upfront with you. Like, I've never had a Macanudo that I've liked. Like, they're all just not my jam, right? Which is press pass code for they're trash, and I don't want to smoke your shitty fucking cigars." Yeah. But like, you know, in the interest of being magnanimous, I was like, they're just not my thing. I never had one I liked. He's like, "Well, why don't you try these Inspirados, right? Like the black and the white. I'll give you one of each, right? Like, just you try them, and you just like, you know, if you like them, you tell people to buy them." I'm like, "Okay, yeah, we'll do."
Do you want me to do that?
Put them in my locker. And I kept, like, every day I came in for, like, every day for, like, a week. And I was like, I should smoke that Inspirado that guy gave me just to be open-minded, you know, or whatever. And I was like, yeah, but I can smoke a Regis. Or, yeah, I can smoke a Tantal here. I can smoke an Oliva Connecticut. I can smoke a JJ. I can smoke a fucking Abernay. I can smoke just all this other shit that I like. And I never got around to it. And then one day I was like, yeah, all right, I'm doing it. I'm doing it this morning. Right, I got it. I'm sitting there, I'm smoking it. And I'm sitting there, and it's like the shop is almost empty. It's like pretty early in the morning. And it's just me and Ted Faravelli. Rest in peace, Ted. And I'm sitting there. Like, I make Ted some coffee. I make me some coffee. I'm drinking. I'm sitting there. And like, I didn't even say anything. We didn't say anything for like 25 minutes. And Ted's like, "What are you smoking, Press Pass?" And I'm like, "Oh, Inspirado white label." And he was like, "You don't look like you like that at all." He's like, "It looks like it's torture for you." And I'm like, "Yeah, it's pretty rough, man." And he was like, "Don't smoke that." He's like, "I got a Boulevard Bellicoso Fino.
Oh, well.
And you can have this instead." And I was like, "Sold," right? I put that down with that Boulevard. I was like, the best Boulevard I ever had by comparison. I was like, "Man, this is so fucking good." Yeah. And like, yeah, it was so weird. And the thing is I like thought back on it, and like Jeff, who is one of the owners at OCL at Aloni, he came in shortly after we got those, and he was like, "Yeah, man, I can't keep these on the shelves up at Aloni. Like, you're fucking so good." I'm like, "You got people like that cigar up there?" He was like, "Oh man," I was like, "I can't keep them on the shelves. I buy like 5 boxes at a time, and we just go through them." I'm like, "Dude, this cigar is fucking awful. It's like the worst cigar I've ever had." Like, it was like, it felt like it was punishment. Like, it was just like, "You like cigars? Like, I'm just going to punish you." And then I thought maybe I'll give the black label a try. And I lit it up, and I didn't even get to the first ash. And I'm like, "I'm not doing this to myself." I just put it out. It was fucking terrible. Yeah. It was like one of the worst cigars I've ever smoked. Like, they're only $9. Like, no shit. Yeah.
It's one of those things where you're at the register, you see like this trend of people buying sticks, and you're like, "What the fuck's up with this trend here? I'm gonna try this out." Amazon Basin, I'll see what's up. Yeah. Smoked it. Ooh, fuck, this is terrible. Yeah. This is a terrible cigar. That's the way. You guys, I will never trust your judgment. Like, I asked them, like, "You like these cigars?" Like, "Yeah, I love them. I wish you can buy in the box." I'm like, huh. I'll give CAO a chance.
Yeah, like, I felt that way about the Flathead too. Yeah,
because they're fucking garbage.
I felt that way about the Aladino too. I'm just like, I don't know what everybody is tasting. I can't, like, for the life of me put my fingers, like, this is fucking terrible. Like, it's like you and everyone else.
It's like cilantro.
It's so good. I'm like, it's not good.
I tell people, like, I fucking hate cilantro. Oh my god, I love cilantro. I'll just eat it like a handful of them at a time. It's like, oh my god, what's wrong with you?
Yeah, it's just like so weird. It's like so. I feel like
am I crazy?
I feel like I deliberately, or like not deliberately, inadvertently is a better word. killed sales of the Macanudo Vintage 1997 at West Coast.
Okay.
Because that cigar was selling like gangbuster, like fucking hotcakes.
Oh, yeah.
And everybody told me, like, oh, you gotta smoke it, you gotta smoke it. I'm like, I don't like Macanudos, man. I'm like, yeah, I don't like Macanudos typically either, man, but this one is fire. This one is fire. And like, but I remember like Curtis fucking, he chewed my ear off for like 20 minutes one day about how good that cigar was. Mm-hmm. And then he just went back in the back to play poker. And I was like, you know what? I'm just gonna fucking try one. Mm-hmm. And I cut it and I lit it. And I got like halfway through it, and like I think Justin was there, and he was like, "Hey man, like what are you smoking?" I'm like, "Oh, vintage 1997." And he was like, "Oh yeah." I was like, "Yeah, I had that. Do you like it?" And I'm like, "Can you watch the register for me for like 2 minutes?" And he's like, "Sure." And so I go back and like they're back there playing poker. And I went back there and I was like, "You're fucking, what is wrong with you, Curtis? This is the worst fucking cigar I've ever had. Like, why would you recommend it? You don't like that press pass?" I'm like, "No, it's fucking garbage." Like, I was like, "Why would you?" And then like, I went on this huge diatribe that anybody like buying them, I'm like, "Don't buy that. It's fucking trash." Right? It's a horrible cigar. And then like, after about like a week or two of that, like I just noticed people just stopped buying them. Not probably because they didn't like them anymore, because they just want to hear the whip and abuse from me about,
oh my
like,
God, why are you buying that?
Yeah, because I was vocal about it. I was like, "Man, this is fucking awful. Like, why do people like this? Like, this is not a good cigar."
Same thing with the La Galeras. Like, people love that fucking cigar. Smoke that thing. I was like, this is awful.
The Connecticut's aren't bad.
That's the one I don't like. I was like, this is a bad Connecticut.
Oh yeah, okay.
Yeah.
I didn't hate on it, but I didn't really get like the hype behind it. Mm-hmm. It was like, yeah, I don't fucking. I did the same thing to Ali. Ali's a big Liga guy, and he came in. He's like, "Oh, you guys got L40s back in," and I was like, "Yep." And he was like, "Yeah, I'm gonna get some of these. I'm gonna get like 5 of them." I'm like, "Don't do that." And he's like, "What do you mean?" I'm like, and I was just like very flatly, I was like, "Liga is trash."
What?
And he was like, "What do you mean?" I was like, "Dude, I smoked one of those the other day for the first time in like 2 years." And I remember like, I used to like that cigar, and last 4 or 5 times I smoked it, I was like, "Yeah, it's not as good as I remember," but like, hey, whatever. I just made a bunch of excuses for it, like an abused woman, you know, like, "Oh, he loves me. He really he was good to me." Like,
that's
before.
how he shows affection.
That's just I must have done something, right? It must be me. My palate's off or something, you know. I had some weird stuff to eat earlier, and it's just my fault, really.
It's my toothpaste.
Yeah,
it's throwing it off.
Something. And I was just like, "No," but I'm just done with it, right? I just fuck this, fuck Liga. Liga's trash. The L40 is garbage now. And he was like, and a couple days later, I went out by the fire pit. I was emptying ashtrays or whatever, and I saw he had a Tabernacle Lancero. And I was like, "Oh, you on that Tabernacle life, yeah?" And he was like, "Yeah, you know, yeah, you were right about that Liga, dude. It's fucking terrible." I was like, he was like, "Why would I want to spend $25 for a cigar? That's fucking terrible." I'm like, "Yeah, hey, I'm fucking." He's like, "Yeah, I won't buy them anymore." I'm like, "Okay." You could just get more Tabernacle for the same price. Like, instead of getting 4 Ligas, you get 5 Tabernacles, and they would be better, and you'd have an extra cigar, and it'd be good. But yeah, I felt a little bad. I was like, "Yeah, okay."
Yeah, it's just the brand loyalty to like the legal line. I'm like, have you actually like thought about what it tastes like, and it's just not as good as before, or just have bad taste in cigars or something?
I don't know.
Because like people that are looking for Ligas, that's the only thing they want. I was like, you can have a Tabernacle. They taste better, I think.
Yeah.
No, I just want a Liga. All right.
Yeah.
Tell you.
And it'd be one thing, you know, it's like, I mean, I get having brand loyalty. I have brand loyalty to some companies. Moleskine. I buy brand name Moleskines. They're like $3 to $4 more expensive than generic Moleskines. But like, you know, Moleskine just has been good to me.
Got that pocket.
Yeah, and the quality of the product is still there, and so it's like, but if it ever stopped being good, like it started falling apart on me or some shit, I'd be like, "Yeah, I'm done with you.
Yeah,
I don't need that shit anymore. Fuck off, right? Like, go away." I was that way with Distilled for the longest time. I was like, "Oh yeah, like this company, their pants are nice, and like all this," but then like the quality started going down, and the price started creeping up, and all this like stuff, and I was like, the whole YKK zipper fucking fiasco, right? Yeah. I was like, "Oh, you guys don't use YKK zippers anymore? What the fuck is wrong with you?" I was like, we're like, "Oh, well, we're getting back to that." And then it was like, yeah, and the final straw was, you know, It was right around, I don't remember what it was.
Christmas, right?
I don't remember what it was, but they released
sent
some
you that
just like
email?
incredibly fucking super woke fucking, email. And then they posted some incredibly woke shit on fucking Instagram. And I was like, you know what? I was kind of on the fence about, like, I was like teetering on the fence about like your company. And this just sends it over. I'm like, done with you. And, so yeah, just don't shop with them anymore. Like, yeah, don't want your product. They stopped carrying raw denim. That's why I started shopping with them, as they were like a raw denim company. And now they don't even have any raw denim at all. They got rid of all of it. It's all just like different shit. Like okay, why do I want this then? Like, the whole thing for me was that, it's difficult to find raw denim, period. Let alone like if you have a certain style and cut and like, you want black as opposed to blue, which apparently is a huge fucking issue. I had no idea about this. It's really, really hard to find black raw denim.
Yeah.
Like, period. Especially if you don't like, loose fit stuff. So it's like, okay, oh well, you used to accommodate me, and now you don't accommodate me, and so that's fine. I'm out. I'm done. And I feel like cigars should be the same way. I was on the verge, man, before fucking Tatuaje was like teetering on the edge. Ooh, they were for like in, I would say, 2015, 16. They were teetering. They were teetering hard, and I was like, man, because like the stuff in their flagship line was like having problems. It was like not smoking good, and they released a few new things, and I was like, this is not good.
You released this for that?
Yeah, I was like, man, I wouldn't even give a shit if you released anything new. The brown label and all the other shit that I like just stayed on point, but it didn't. And then they just seemed to, I don't know, correct the ship, because it wasn't that far off course. It's like a little correction over several miles will yield you great results. And so they came back, the Connecticut they released, and then, they did a couple of good, the last Monster in the Monster series I thought was pretty good, and I was like, all right, the Ybarro came out, and I was like, well, all right, you guys are back, and you're out of the shit house now. Yeah. Like, I'm not, but yeah, some people just like, they just get in their head they like something, and then they're just like, I'm done thinking about it. I don't want to think about it. These are the things I like, and it's like, okay, that's fine. But, quality starts to dip, like, you're bound to notice, but apparently some people don't, I guess.
Yeah. Well, weird. Anyways. Run up on all time. Got anything else?
No, that's it. That's just my rant for the week, I guess.
I guess we'll do another tier list. I don't know if you guys like that. It was fun for me.
Yeah.
We'll think of something. Another tier list.
Wiener Schnitzel. Wiener Schnitzel items.
That'd be it. Yeah, we'll think of something, guys. We should have a list of cigars we're going to be doing each week, or like a month in advance.
Sure.
Yeah, we'll probably think about that next week. We'll let you guys know.
Yeah, this is a good one. I'm happy with it. Not the best thing we reviewed on the podcast, but as far as novelty and like something that's like not something, because most of the things that I really like that we've reviewed have been things that I've been smoking for years.
Yeah.
So it's like an old standby, old girlfriend, old pair of jeans sort of situation.
You gotta tell them you love them once in a while. Make them feel like they're wanted.
Yeah. You're important to me, baby. I really value our relationship.
Yeah, you're my rock. Don't worry.
You're my rock.
All right, that does it for this week, guys. Don't be a fool. Wash your hands before you eat the gabagool. Peace.
Thanks for listening to Mikey and the Press Pass podcast. Consider subscribing. You can rate and review us on iTunes, Spotify, Stitcher, Google Play, and pretty much anywhere where you can listen to podcasts. And you can also write us with any ideas, suggestions, or horrible burning criticism at mikeyandthepresspass@gmail.com. Thank you.